Hey everybody, thanks for coming. I'm kind of out of my comfort zone here. I usually don't speak. I've spoke once before at Trinity College, and I really felt okay coming up to it. And then when I stood up, I was full of nerves. So it was the opposite this time. I was kind of nervous coming up to it, and hopefully I'll feel okay. Yeah, I guess I usually don't be up early either. I work late, and I had to get up extra early to do my mustache. So yeah, thanks for coming. I'll just talk about how I got into street art before I get into it, and what I'm doing now, and what I have planned for next. I used to work in IT. And I really didn't like it. I thought everybody hated their job, and you just did it, and you got paid, and then you enjoyed after work, and that was life. Work was a pain, and I started to see street art around town, particularly from Will St. Ledger and Macer, who were painting for a long time, and I really liked it, and I started to make stencils and paint. I liked that you didn't show your face and you didn't have to talk like this. So yeah, I liked everything about it, and I was into punk rock and, kind of underground stuff. So, yeah, I just started to do it, and it just took off from there. I'm going to show you some of my earlier work. I don't have the pictures of the first stuff I did because I just couldn't find them. I've been through a few laptops since then, and I lost a lot of pictures. So this is my logo, which I put around town. Some people might be familiar with it. It's just a really quick throw up, so you can put 10 of them up in one night, and then you have your name around everywhere. Street artists like to be territorial and have their work up in as many places as possible. So yeah, this is one of the pieces I did. I don't know, I was painting a few years at the time, and I don't know, it's very rebellious. It's painted onto a newspaper, and it's saying, "Don't believe the hype." At that time when I was painting my work, I was just trying to do clever ideas, and as I went on, I tried to make all my work relate to each other, so it told a story. I have coffee with a friend of mine fairly regularly, and we spoke about, he's an artist as well, and we spoke about how, a film with a good story is much better than a film with, good special effects. So, I always remembered that, and I wanted to kind of tell a story in my work rather than to, spend a long time and have something that looked really, hard to do. I wanted something that would, people would feel something from seeing it, or it would strike something off inside them. So as I went on, I tried to develop my work into that, something that told a story. Here's another piece, which is just another, it's a spray paint girl, and she's no clothes, so she's spraying clothes for herself, because she can wear spray paint clothes. So yeah, I don't know what I was just thinking of clever ideas at that stage. And that's another kind of earlier one that I did. That's in Dunleary Pier. That's a piece I did for First Fortnight, which is a mental health awareness festival. It's on the first 2 weeks of every year. And because the first 2 weeks are the highest time for suicide, it's to help people with mental health awareness. And a lot of good artists are working on it, and it's a really positive project that's really nice to work on. I painted this because I went through a difficult time myself, and my sister passed away, and I remember kind of thinking that, like, I was just going to have to go through this, and I didn't know what to do. I just going to feel real bad, but I found that there was people there that you could talk to, and, it eases the burden. So, yeah, it was just a message to people who are going through a tough time that you're not alone. And this is when I started to work on a story, I guess. I wanted my work to kind of relate to each other, so I was painting a misspent youth, a boy in a man's world, and a kid growing up in society that he didn't fit in, or that he felt that he had to be something that he wasn't. So I did a load of work around that, misspent youth. And that's another one there. And then I got an email from a gallery in Temple Bar, the Culture Box, and it was kind of the first time that I'd been asked to have a show, and I didn't feel I was ready for it, and I asked could I think about it, and I spoke to some friends, and I decided that I was going to do it, and the show was called Misspent Youth, so I did a whole show around that Misspent Youth, which is good to have a kind of a team to work off, because you know what you're doing, you just have to think of ideas around that. And I guess it's good if your work all relates to each other, because if you're just painting random stuff, it looks too random, so if you're painting something that people can recognize that it's yours, it's better, and if it tells a story, it's much more interesting. So yeah, this is like a small boxer boy looking up with a punching bag, and it's called Dream Big, and it's I guess it's like that kid who's the underdog and who's victorious against all odds. And that's another piece I did for the Misspent Youth show. That was a really popular piece. I did it in 3 colors, and it's all gone now. But I think like women liked it, and their boyfriends thought it was their girlfriends, and parents liked it for their kids as well. So. This is a piece I did for the Musical Youth Foundation. We were asked to create a piece of art from an instrument, and the guy said that he gave most people guitars, and would I take a drum set? And I said, okay. And I had the drum set in my friend's shed. I actually used that shed for a studio for a while when I was doing the Misspent Youth show. And I just didn't know what to do with the drums. Like, I had them for weeks, and I think the deadline was on the Friday, and this was the Monday, and they were still like just a set of drums. And my friend Brendan Marr, he helped me with it actually, we were out, and he said, why don't you turn them into something that isn't drums? And we got a microwave and made it the head, and turned out to be a robot. Yeah, that's a piece I did for Valentine's Day this year in Newmarket Square, and it's called Happy Valentine's Day, I love you, don't tell anyone. And that's a picture I found on Instagram. I don't know who took it, I just stole it. I don't know who he is, but I just thought it was a great photo. Yeah, so there's just the lips that I paint around town. This is a piece I painted in Limerick for Make a Move Festival. At the start of the year this year, I set some goals for myself. I wanted to start painting bigger pieces, and I wanted to start painting abroad. And when the girl from Make a Move Festival asked me to paint, I said, I will if you have a big wall. And she gave me a really big wall. And it took me, I think, about 5 days, and I it was really difficult. Like, I find when you're doing a wall that size, it's like a roller coaster, where you think you can't do it and you should quit painting, and then you think it's brilliant, and then it's like, you want to, like, just kill yourself. So, yeah, like, it just didn't, I just didn't think it was coming together for a few days during it, and then eventually it kind of came together right at the end. And that's another piece I did on Thomas Street. Again, I asked for I'd do it if I could get a big wall. And I think when I did that, that was the biggest one I had done. This is earlier this year, I was asked to have a show with the Dublin Whiskey Company and Licool, and I didn't really have time to put on a solo show, so I said I would if we could have a group show, and the group show was called Outlined. There was 10 artists involved, and I was heavily involved in setting it up. Myself, Aidan, Kelly and Morgan were, I guess, drinking coffee, and they got involved in setting it up as well, and we asked 10 artists. It was really hard work. It went well, but I guess setting up a show, like, I guess there was other artists that were friends that were upset that we didn't ask them, and so it was hard work that yeah, that you just can't ask everybody, and then I don't know, it turns out more hassle than it's worth. This is my studio. It's just off Parnell Street. Some different shots. We have a rooftop up there where we have barbecues and stuff when the weather's nice, and you have a place for photography. So I have like a little back cave down the end, which is at the back door, which is fine for when I'm spray painting. I just open the door. And yeah, so when I finished The Misspent Youth, I was looking for something else, another theme to paint. And I was going to South Korea on a holiday, and I was going to visit the border of South Korea and North Korea. And it was just when Kim Jong-il had passed away, and experts had said that the one thing that would start the war was the passing of Kim Jong-il, because North Korea would be very unstable. And I started to watch YouTube videos about North Korea, and I was fascinated by it. And I set up like a Google alerts for North Korea, and I was up at 5 a.m, like still watching these videos. I couldn't believe it, like how it was over there. I was watching all of these films on YouTube, and I guess I started to paint stuff around communism in North Korea. And when I was in South Korea, an old man said to me, he said, "You've come all the way across the world. How is it?" And I said, "Yeah, it's different." And he said, "But people are the same." He says, "We all have the same core values, and we all want peace and to be safe, and we all want to eat." And I don't know if he really, it really hit home with me something that, we are all the same, and we grow up kind of being proud of where we're from, and we all want peace, and yet there's wars everywhere, and it was like the government who were sending these people to war for greed, but all people are the same, and they'd probably all be friends with each other if they weren't, if they knew each other. So I started to paint stuff around communism and war, and yeah, so this is I guess, I painted these people who, it's like they're born to be trained to go to war and fight for their country. So this is actually a piece that was in the Outlined exhibition. And that's another one. I painted this on the street in Dublin. Yeah, and this is Kim Jong-un as an Austin Powers character, and I don't know, I had an idea. It was when North Korea was in the news all the time, and I had an idea to paint it, and I think I painted it the next day because I just really wanted to do it. And about 2 or 3 days later, I was driving home from work, and My phone was hopping, like I was getting notifications from all of the social networks and emails, and the piece had gone viral. It was on ITV News, and it was on like hundreds of websites and Reddit.com, which is the most popular images from the internet, and it was on Reddit for 3 days, and it was on top, like #1 for a few days. So it just shows like how powerful the public art can be. Someone can take a photograph and you don't know where it's going to go. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a piece I painted at Body and Soul, and I guess it's just still in the theme of the Asian, and another one there. And that's like another little soldier. And this is the Bushwick Collective, which is a collective of artists based that paint in New York and Brooklyn. I'm a member of the Bushwick Collective, and it's an area in Brooklyn where 3 years ago you didn't go to it because it was so rough. There was killings every night, and any of the locals that I spoke to there said that like they found bodies in their bins, and it was really rough. And there's a guy there, Italian-American, Joe Ficalero, and his family grew up there, and they're the only kind of Italian family that were left when it started to get really rough. They all moved out. And his father was killed on a street corner by drug addicts. He was shot, and they stole his chain, like a silver chain. And his mother died as well, and he was in this area that he really hated, and it brought up lots of bad feelings every time he crossed the street. He had so many bad memories, and he tried to clean the area up. And he'd paint all these buildings here, and the next day he came out and they've been tagged over by graffiti, and he got really sick of it, and he started to allow street artists to paint there. And since the street art has gone up, it's become one of the most sought after areas in Brooklyn to live. So the rents have skyrocketed, and everybody wants to live there. It's a really kind of hip area. Apart from Williamsburg, it's like the new Williamsburg. So this is a piece I painted in, I was there 3 times this year. I guess like street artists like to travel and put their art up in new places. So, yeah, whenever I can, I go away and paint. That's just a really small, simple piece that I painted on a rooftop in Brooklyn, and that was on brooklynstreetart.com, Images of the Week. And that's another piece on a rooftop in Brooklyn. And that's one of the bigger pieces I did there. It's still still working on it at that time. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything. Thanks for coming. Where am I? Yeah, so, yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot. Cheers.